What is the address of your emergency?
78. Help!
Alien to that one, operator 6180. What's the address of your emergency? 1797 Sumter Street. We're being robbed at gunpoint.
No. They're following me to my house. The guns are already out. She's shooting. Okay.
Welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On today's episode, we take you to Houston, Texas for a reenactment which we are calling DVD to Death. And I thank you for joining us this week. Let me start with this question for the panel. On today's show, we're going to see an individual who places himself in a very vulnerable situation. So my question to you is, do you think law-abiding citizens feel overconfident because they are legally armed?
I would call that like probably a false courage.
Okay.
Because it kind of gives you that courage. It's like if you took a martial arts course. You know, well, now I can defend myself. If something happens, I can act. Same thing with a firearm. I carry a firearm. Okay, well, you get that little sense of invincibility. Okay.
So, Garett, you actually in California, where gun period is a little difficult to even deal with, although they do issue permits and you can get a permit to carry. In your capacity there, would you see citizens who you thought were overconfident because they had that?
Yeah, very few people can carry in California. You know, obviously I'm in law enforcement, I carry wherever I go. But you rarely see someone act, a civilian act with a firearm. Okay,
is that why?
Because the law says, the law in California is you can't carry those kind of, you can't carry a firearm concealed or out in the open.
Okay, so a home invasion, burglary, you're okay protecting your
you're
castle.
okay with within your domicile, your residence, you can.
Okay, all right.
I think it's a product of your training too. I think how much you train, how much you've been exposed, if you've actually had any force-on-force training, I think you get the reality of what the potential of a gunfight is, and all, rather than just the fact, well, I have a gun now, and that's the the talisman, and I'm safe now. Everything is good.
And I think that's the reason why you say that, because you have law enforcement. But the good law-abiding citizen has not had that force-on-force training.
But some training, beyond, let's say, the NRA basic pistol course that gets you your permit. So the more training that you get, I think the more reality sets in, and that you'll realize that, yeah, it's a gun, it's a tool, and yes, I can protect myself with it, but I need to be the guy protecting myself. It's me, not the gun.
Okay. Let's look at it legally.
Well,
as an NRA instructor, as well as an attorney.
I see this all the time as an NRA instructor. People come in and they take the basic NRA basic pistol course, 8-hour course. They take the certificate, go to the county courthouse, apply for a concealed carry permit, and receive it. It doesn't mean they can demonstrate any proficiency from drawing from a holster, presenting the firearm, and hitting the target they're supposedly aiming at. So I think in some senses, depending upon the psychology of the individual and the lack of training, it can act as a talisman that makes them feel more invincible than those people who have had a significant amount of training.
And I think that's what I'm getting at. I mean, would you feel like that you are going to involve yourself in a situation if you did not have that gun? Because the fact that you do have the gun, and that you have had some training, and that you have a permit to carry it, and you find yourself in a situation, at what point do you say to yourself, maybe I won't draw? And I think that's the question we need to look at. And when we come back, I'm going to show you part one, and I'm going to show you an instance where that kind of a question is going to come up. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewers. We're about to look at a reenactment where an individual puts himself in a very vulnerable situation. And I just want to ask, before we go to part one, can we stress too much the responsibility of strapping on a gun every day and marching into the community? It's not a bulletproof vest, is it? It's not a Superman cape because you're armed. So how do you feel about it?
I think that as you're training, increases, I think it also, training isn't just about marksmanship or tactics, it's also about decision making. And as you are better trained, I think you make wiser decisions. And I think also that training has to be something that's pertinent to your task. In other words, so if you're, as an armed, citizen,
yeah.
If you're taking training where you're all kitted up and you're, you're taking military type or, tactical law enforcement type training, might be fun, might be good, but is that really going to help you when you're walking around with your, smaller gun, clothes,
and
no body armor, no communication, no anything else, and is that going to maybe help you make decisions whether to intercede or not to?
Right. And I think I want to ask this one question to an NRA instructor. Are you teaching a decision-making process?
That's part of the course. If you take personal protection in the home or you take personal protection outside the home, decision-making is always an integral part of the training. But it only goes so far because you're limited in terms of the types of courses of fire that you engage in order to take the course. That's just the beginning point.
Well, that's the purpose of the show, and that the purpose of the show, as we all know, is to discuss and teach the draw or retreat decision. Let's watch part 1 of DVD to Death.
Hello, sweetheart. Yeah, I'm just leaving work. Yeah, I'm going to get the movie now. I don't know, I thought you were going to check online. All right, something fun. Okay. Sorry, what was that? Oh yeah, you can go ahead and order the pizza. Yeah, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, pepperoni and mushroom. All right, sweetheart, I'm almost there. Yeah, I'll see you soon. I love you too. Bye.
It's a Tuesday night. No one's gonna be renting movies. This is stupid.
Just wait, all right?
Okay, fine.
Dude, put that away. You'll end up the entire inside of the car.
Oh, like we're not already suspicious being the only people in a parking lot.
Man, just shut up and be quiet.
All right, fine, yeah.
I'll leave you at home next time. Okay. Something fun. Yeah. See? I told you. Easy target. Let's go. Oh, stay close behind us after we have the car. All right, cool.
Okay, I'm going to start off by saying 2 things. One, did anybody notice it was a stop to threat license plate on the good guy's car? No, okay, I'm just kidding. It was, but I'm sure you weren't paying attention to it. Number 2, I'm going to say this first. Situational awareness. Anyone want to go from there?
Yeah, I think it's a term that's been beaten to death. But in this case, I mean, it is late at night. You're in a parking lot, kind of deserted area. It would be at least wise to take a look around and see. I mean, if there's only one car in that parking lot, probably wouldn't have been that hard to pick out, and maybe scope it out a little bit and take a look and see what might happen.
Does the good law-abiding citizen go to that much trouble? Do they drive in a parking lot at night and drive around, see one car, and they see 3 guys in it? Will they leave, or will they just go forward?
If you look at what happened, he's like a mission specific, right? He's there to get he's talking to his wife, he's engaged in the conversation. He's there for a purpose to get DVDs. So he's not looking around. He has no situational awareness. He leaves his car running and the door wide open.
Right. Right, that's a good point. I mean, he's left, all he needed was a sign saying, rob me.
Yeah, come to rob
that's
me.
the only
Or
thing
come and
missing.
take my car.
And then he turns his back to boot
And then he
into
turns
the
his
car.
back.
Again, I'm saying, not that you have, you know, the driving around the parking lot and scoping it out and finding the 3 guys in the
does
car.
that?
Nobody's going to do that.
Okay, you can say
know,
that all you
yeah,
want,
right.
but they're not. But the fact of the matter is, you're not probably going to do it, neither am I.
But the other extreme to that is when it is late at night and all in that situation, just take a look around.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no situational awareness whatsoever. He was focused on the DVD rental machine, didn't stop to turn around and look, you know, occasionally, and I just found that somewhat disconcerting.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right. And we're about to find out why he might have been overconfident in doing this. Because the fact of the matter is, we're not going to do that. Probably 90% of us, we're on, you know, you've already basically made a date with your wife. You're bringing pizza home, you're bringing DVDs, you're looking forward to a nice evening. You drive into the parking lot, it's fairly well lit, and you see a car over there. Are you actually going to go and spin around that car? And I don't think so. I think what you're going to do is just exactly what he did. We come back, we'll find out the results of that type of a decision. You may not be happy with it. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. Some of you who are very tactically driven, you may not be necessarily happy with the way this turns out, but in fact, in the end, we all may be happy. Let's watch part 2, DVD to death.
Okay. See, something fun. Ah. No. No. Good.
Get in the car! Get in the car!
Hello, 911? Yeah, I've just been attacked.
Okay, there was a lot of things there, wasn't there? You want to start with that?
Yeah. Obviously, he was oblivious to a lot of the things around him. But on the other side of that coin, I defy anybody for the next week to say that they're going to be completely situationally aware and not have somebody where you're sitting in your car and all of a sudden you look up and somebody's close. Or there are times in certain situations where, okay, you know, I defy anybody to get on a subway in a big city and not have people be shoulder to shoulder with them in you know, invading your inner space. So to be, you know, the situational awareness stuff is great, but sometimes it's what happens, what do you do when the fight starts? And in this case, this guy did pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I mean, before the fight even started, I noticed that he took the DVDs from his gun hand, right? He's right-handed, and put them into his left. So his gun hand was free going to the car. Very important.
I didn't notice that. That was a good move. Did you see anything, Demi?
Well, he moved very quickly once he realized the attack was taking place, and he took the action he felt he needed to take under the circumstances. So I feel he did all right.
I like the fact that he moved to the wheel well. I thought that was a good move. Tactically, I will agree with that one. I like the fact that he kept the gun up and pointed in the direction that he thought more violence may take place. I was okay with that. I think he's getting pretty low on rounds. Now the question comes up, he's got the phone, he's got to make a choice between calling 911 and reloading. What are you going to do? We're nitpicking it, I agree.
If he sees the car coming towards him as a threat, so why would you get on the phone if you still think the gunfight may occur?
That's the question.
Would
you have reloaded? Before you called?
Unless it goes out of battery, I wouldn't reload it because I feel that at least I got to put rounds on that if that third suspect comes up.
My guess he's down to maybe 2, maybe 1 round. Can I count the rounds on this?
Get in the car! Get in the car!
5 rounds. 10-round magazine, maybe?
No, that's going to have more than about 7.
It's going to be 7.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's down to a couple of rounds.
Okay.
I don't know. My first thoughts is to reload. I'll throw 2 rounds away to put in a new
Although I'll
mag.
say this, when the car was moving towards him, I'm not so sure I would have reloaded at that point. I would want to wait to see what the car did.
I would have gone to the wheel well, put in a new mag, and then listened see what's going to take place, and call 911. That would have been my personal reaction. Right or wrong, that's what I would have thought.
I don't think that he should have got on the phone necessarily, but again, I'll take the tack that if that gun's not broken, I'm not fixing it. In other words, that gun is not at slide lock. I still have rounds in that gun, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if that guy that's laying 5 feet away from me is going to jump up, and I don't want to be fumbling with magazines.
Okay.
If it gets to the point where the slide locks back and I have to reload, well, I know I have to reload. Now, if he was able to get up, move to a position of cover, look around, okay, looks like everything is over, and then reloaded, okay. But I'm not fixing a good gun when it's still working in a fight.
You folks at home, give me your opinion. Be sure and contact me. One more thing, though. Should he have pursued the second or third individual? Should he move to a position and gone over the top of the car and ran off what he had left at fleeing bad guys? Garrett.
No. You still have two suspects down near you. You don't know if they're done. So you're really outnumbered, outgunned, outflanked.
Things looking pretty bad.
It was looking pretty bad.
and we're going to run out of time here. So to hold that thought a little bit, because I think we have some more to add to that. When we come back, we will give you the follow-up on what took place. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. Before we give you the follow-up, though, Garrett mentioned something I think is worth repeating. Tell us one more time about the gun hand.
In the academy, they teach you the first thing in firearms training, never carry anything in your gun hand. Your gun hand has to be free. So you're going to carry equipment. You're going to go to the grocery stores. You're going to see me carrying 5 bags in my left, but my gun hand's always going to be free.
Yeah. You know, my instructor even said flashlight. Flashlight goes in the left hand. And every time you pick up that flashlight in the left hand. Whether you're in the situation or not, when you see a flashlight, pick it up with your left hand. Just get in the habit of doing that. And I think that's a good tip. And if you have some others, please share those with us. But let me give you the follow-up. This may not come as a big surprise, but one suspect died at the scene. The other ran away and was not apprehended, and the third drove away and was not apprehended. So there was only one person who died. I saw 3 shots on one, 2 shots on the other. They must not have been well placed on some, or it wasn't enough to go to a hospital, because we all know if he went to the hospital, he would eventually be arrested, right? Because I think that's the hospital's responsibility to call at that point. Okay. No charges, of course, were filed on the shooter. He was in fine. Let me read you an email, though. I think you'll find this one interesting, and I'm actually going to direct this to our attorney. Here's the question. The question comes from John. John says, what would you call the moment when your actions stop being self-defense and become assault?
Well, I think once the threat has ceased and the perpetrator is fleeing, then if you're going to continue to use your gun to shoot him in his effort to flee or retreat, then it switches over to potentially being an assault.
Would that be true generally? Because I'm going to say that
if we're out on the
argumentatively
street,
in
if we're
Texas,
out on the street, or you're not on your property, for example, Texas, you're out on the street, the perpetrator is fleeing, and you're continuing to empty rounds in him, you're going to have a bad day.
Okay. You guys arrive on the scene.
You know, in law enforcement, if that guy is such a threat to society, you know, you may be able to use deadly physical force to apprehend him, but that has nothing to do with the self-defense aspect. And even in most cases for law, it would be a rare situation. You'd have to be able to articulate pretty much that this guy was the axe murderer of all time, that if he gets away, he might kill a lot of people.
So when you interview me then, I'm the guy who bought the DVD, and I'm also the guy who comes up over the top of the car and I put 2 more rounds in a running suspect. You interview me when you arrive. What are you going to ask me, Garett?
I think we're going to have a problem there. What I'm going to ask you is, was that guy, was he driving the car towards you? Was he trying to ram you? Was there some kind of deadly threat against you? If he's trying to flee, we have an issue.
But how would you know that I did that? How would you, because you asked me what'd you do, and I say to you voluntarily that I came up over the top of the car and I put 2 rounds in a fleeing suspect.
In a case like this, we're going to look at video cameras nearby. There might be ATM nearby. We can look at the ATM cameras.
Right.
But we're going to do a thorough investigation on that.
Yeah, and I think the point here is that no matter what, even if you think you can get away with maybe not telling the whole truth to law enforcement, it's only going to be worse.
Let me come back to the legal standard. The legal standard is you have to reasonably believe that there's an imminent threat to your life or severe bodily harm. Okay. That's the general standard across the nation.
We got to go. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. Be safe, be trained, be alert.